everybody, this is D Hunter, bringing another action figure review. Today, we're going to look at the McFarlane DC Multiverse Superman vs. Godzilla 2-pack. This is part of the Monsterverse. This is based off the comic series Justice League vs. Godzilla vs. Kong. I ordered this from the CMD store, which is a Canadian-based website. So let's take a look at the packaging. As you can see at the top, ages 12 plus. DC Multiverse Superman vs. Godzilla. DC and Legendary Comics, Monsterverse. Here they are in the package. We have this giant Godzilla figure. Looks like the tail is separate in the package. We have a Superman figure with 2 extra hands. A smaller 3-inch Superman figure, which would be cool with Godzilla. Then there is a display stand and a collector's card. One side of the package, Superman vs. Godzilla from DC's Justice League Monsterverse. Other side of the package, Justice League vs. Godzilla vs. Kong. At the back, here's Superman with this giant Godzilla. And at the bottom, there's a barcode if that helps. So with no further ado, let's open it up and check them out. Alright, now that these figures out of the package, here they are with all the accessories laid out. We have a 7-inch Superman figure, a 3-inch Superman figure, display stand, collector's card, 4 hands, Godzilla, and his tail. Let's talk about this set. So, there's definitely some cool things about the set. I mean, Godzilla is a really cool sculpt. He's pretty tall, but of course not nearly as tall as he should be, but that's why you have the 3-inch Superman. After the sort of disappointing Batman vs. King Kong set, because the King Kong figure was so under-articulated, I'm kind of hesitant about this. It looks to have similar, a little better articulation than King Kong, but not by too much. The sculpt does look fantastic, and it's a pretty cool, sort of themed, gimmicky set. Superman here has a screaming expression, which can only really be cool for while he's in the middle of fighting or punching something. And then we have the small Superman, and I'm curious if it's any different from the last one we got in the Page Puncher line. In this video, we're going to take a look at each of the figures, their accessories, height, and articulation, and we'll compare them with a bunch of other action figures. I'm going to do this from my least anticipated to the most, and we'll start off with the small Superman, then the larger Superman, and then Godzilla. Before we look at Superman, let's check out the display stand and collector's card. Typical display stand we've seen countless times before, nothing special. And then we have the collector's card. They give you one for the 2 figures, Superman vs. Godzilla. Superman vs. Godzilla from DC Justice League Monsterverse. On the back, there is a description. If you want to read that, pause now. Now let's check out this Superman figure. This is, I guess, sort of part of their Page Puncher 3-inch line, which they've kind of abandoned. They've released, I don't know, 1 or 2 things in the past couple of years. I'm not a huge fan of the 3-inch figures. I mean, they're okay, but it's not really the scale that I'm into. So we have the Superman, and the whole point of getting this guy is to make sort of Godzilla scale properly, because Godzilla should be, what, 20 stories tall or something like that. And of course, Superman being a 7-inch figure next to maybe a 12-inch Godzilla doesn't scale right. This guy is going to be a much closer fit, even though he's still probably not quite small enough. This looks to be a classic version of Superman. I can see the curl on the forehead, the traditional color scheme and outfit, the red trunks, the blue, the red, the yellow. It does not have the Superman logo on the back. I'm just going to guess that this is going to be their Rebirth Superman, simply painted over to look traditional, but actually looks pretty damn good. It really reminds me of the Action Comics 1000 larger Superman, but it's not the figure scaled down, as he has minimal articulation at best. His articulation, his head can rotate around. His arms are sort of on ball joints. They can go out and they can go up. You can get him to some cool poses. I mean, it's not a bad figure. Can rotate at the waist. The legs go forward and back. Old school style hips, and that's about it. It can be pretty cool when you're having stuff like Star or the Conqueror or the Anti-Monitor. That's where you can use these with the 7-inch line. Here's this Superman next to the Rebirth version of Superman they made probably about 5 years ago. And it looks like the heads are going to be the same, but that works just fine. Looks like the arms and the torso are the same. It does look like they sculpted a new sort of crotch piece. As you can see, the belt is sculpted on here and sculpted on differently here. I can see the belt loops, kind of interesting. And the legs look to be the same kind of boots. These are just not painted. I don't know, I think it works. I actually think this one is much better than this one. And here's McFarlane's entire collection of 3-inch page bunchers. One more Superman out of the mix, but it doesn't seem like they're making many more of these. I would assume the Wonder Woman vs. Godzilla pack will come with a smaller version of her as well, but we will see. That one would have to be a brand new sculpt, because I don't believe they've made a small Wonder Woman yet, and they typically just like to repaint older ones and throw them in these packs. Now let's take a look at the 7-inch multiverse version of Superman. This Superman in his traditional outfit. The blue, the red, the yellow. The blue is a little bit darker than some of the other versions, and it really makes the red and yellow pop. It's done in the Crisis on Infinite Earth Superman body, which is probably the best McFarlane Superman body out there. He has a cloth soft goods cape with a wire in it. So let's take a closer look. Now, one of the best things, and sort of the worst things about this guy, is that he has a screaming expression. It looks kind of dumb, the shape of the mouth, but it's a screaming expression. It would be pretty cool to have Clark or Superman here in the middle punching Doomsday with a face like this. Still, it looks dumb. They never sort of capture that quite right. The Batman ones, the Aquaman, they all just look off and kind of goofy and dumb. Same time, this is the first Superman with a screaming expression I can think of that we've gotten, and I can definitely put into some to use. Like I said, the body is very nice. The Crisis on Infinite Earth's Superman body. It's a larger body, kind of scales up with the Hush Batman. I like the dark blue. I like how it makes the Superman logo pop very nicely. Traditional trunks. They didn't paint his belt loops, which is annoying, especially with the price point of this figure. They should have put the ball joints here in flesh instead of blue. But whatever, they seem to go back and forth on that. I do not know why. Cape, cloth soft goods with a wire in it. It has a Superman logo on the back, which I like when they do that. It's a little bit long on the bottom, but it's okay. At least it's not as short as the other one. I'm not a fan of that one, like on the Strange Life of Superman pack. Now, I could definitely see somebody popping a regular head on here, and later I will pop the Silver Age Superman head on here just so we can see how it'll look with a darker, more modern color scheme. As a whole, I don't like the screaming head, but at the same time, I sort of do, because I can put it to use for certain photos and scenarios. And a closer look at his face and head sculpt, and I really have mixed feelings on it. To tell you the truth, I don't really think it looks very good. I mean, just the mouth didn't quite hit it. But I do appreciate having a screaming Superman for some occasions. And if you don't like it, you can always do a head swap. It is a pretty cool Superman body, and the color blue kind of has sort of a more modern vibe versus a classic vibe. And then here's the figure, broken down as far as he can go, with all of his removable parts detached. Now let's look at his hands. He has a total of 4 hands, 2 left hands, and 2 right hands. Here he is with his first pair of hands. These are his fists. And here's his alternate pair of hands. These are some flat, outstretched hands. They can kind of work for flight hands. They can kind of work for lifting up a car or signaling someone to stop. These hands seem a little bit oversized. The fists seem appropriately sized. Not to talk about his cape. He does have a cloth soft goods cape with a bendy wire. The bendy wire goes all the way around the edges and then to the bottom. If you stretch it out, it comes out about that far, which is pretty cool. Kind of got it bunched up a little bit at the bottom for it to sort of sit properly. And I like to have this sort of cape doing action poses. So you can have him sort of flying in the air, the cape behind him. It's really easy to make it do kind of what you want it to do. You could have him sort of gliding down. I like to have the cape flowing in the wind next to him. To me, I just take my finger, wrap it around it, wrap it around again, and then sort of back up. And this is sort of pulling the whole thing together because you have the bendy wire at the bottom. I mean, there you go. Cape flowing in the wind. So easily done. I could spend a little more time to make it look better, but honestly, it looks pretty damn good as is. What do you guys think? Pretty easy to work with. Here he is next to the digital Silver Age Superman, which is pretty much my favorite Superman figure that McFarlane has made. I love the body, I love the head sculpt, I love the cape, I love the paint job, pretty much love everything about him. Now, I thought the sort of lighter color makes me think of the Silver Age, a more classic version of Superman, and this darker blue makes me think of more of a modern version of Superman, but still in the traditional outfit, kind of like during Hush or the pre-New 52. So I want to do a head swap on these guys and see how that looks. Here they are with their head swapped. Now the flesh color is not 100% match, but it's pretty damn close. We have the regular version of Superman head onto this darker blue body, and the Screamy head onto this sort of lighter one, which doesn't really do much for me. What do you guys think? I think it comes out great. It kind of gives me a realistic version of Superman the Animated Series type vibes. Now to look at the reuse differences and similarities between this Superman vs. Godzilla Superman and the Crisis on Infinite Earths version, which is the first one to debut this body. Obviously their heads are different. This is an older Superman, and this is a Screaming Superman. The chest is the same, the arms all the way down to the hands are the same, but notice how they put his wrists in flesh color and his in blue. I think they should have been in flesh color. That's where the end of the sleeves are. The stomach, the diaper, the legs, everything is the same except for the head. The cape is a little bit different, and of course, the paint job. It's a fantastic Superman body. They've made a lot of good releases on it. Here are all of the McFarlane DC Multiverse figures that utilize this Crisis on Infinite Earths Superman body. There are a total of 13 of them so far, 9 of which are Superman, 2 are Shazam, and 2 are Icon. Now that we've taken a pretty good look at both the figure and his accessories, let's check out his height. From bottom to the top of his head, same about 7.3, maybe 7.4 inches tall, which can translate to about 18.5 centimeters. And for his articulation, starting with his head, of course, you're going to rotate side to side. He can look up, not too much, down quite a bit. You can tilt his head from one side to the other. If you want to get him into a flight pose between his head and his torso, it's not too bad. I wish he could look a little bit further up. The torso has pretty nice mobility there. Shoulders on a ball joint goes out about 90 degrees. Up, down, around. He's got this butterfly ring. Increase the range of motion and cover up the gap that would be there. Bicep cut. Double jointed elbows. His wrist can rotate and it's hinged as well. Ball joint his torso. Rotate around, forward and back. Another one is waist. Rotate around, forward and back. Between the two, pretty good range of motion. Legs, complete as splits, McFarlane style hip joints, rotation is decent on him. Legs go forward, about that much, back not at all. Double jointed knees, and his ankles, forward and back, rotate, tilt, rock, and toe articulation. And then here are all the McFarlane DC Multiverse Superman figures they've made, at least until recently. There have been a lot of Superman releases as of late. And here are the most recent Superman releases. I've gotten all of these in the past couple of days. 3 David Cornsmith Superman, 1 New 52 Superman, and 2 Strange Lives of Superman Collector's Edition. Now let's check out Godzilla. It's a larger mega figure, and after the disappointing King Kong, I'm really curious to check out what this guy's about. His tail is a separate piece. Let's put them together and then check out Godzilla. And there you have it, tail put together. At this point, it's kind of hard to have Godzilla facing toward you. He has to be about that far away from the background because of just how long his tail is. Now, here's his head. Seems kind of small, but Godzilla is really, really, really big. His jaw is articulated, very cool. His head's on a ball joint, rotate around. Well, I guess just a simple rotation. I do like that jaw, though. His elbows here, up and down, they don't really go out at all. The legs go forward and back, so we already have damn near more points of articulation than King Kong had. And of course, the tail's on a ball joint, can rotate around, go side to side at least a little bit. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 points of articulation. I don't remember how many Kong had, but we'll check that out shortly. And a closer look at his face and head sculpt. You have your Godzilla, giant lizard, kaiju beast, and I wanted to take a closer overall look at him. So, head seems kind of small in proportion to the body. The paint job is pretty nice. It's not all one color. It's a bunch of different colors. Gray, really dark gray, almost black. The sculpt is great. We have all these different sort of spikes, all these different scales. Very intricate sculpt all along the guy. Whoever sculpted this guy did a great job. Just wish he had a little bit more articulation. As you can see, even sort of has some abs, which is kind of weird. But it's a pretty good design. Pretty good Godzilla. And now let's check out the measurements of this guy. From bottom to the tallest point, standing about 12 inches tall. And from the tail all the way to the tip of his face, about 24 inches long. Pretty good sized mega figure. I'd say I like Godzilla better than King Kong. The sculpts are intricate, and the articulation is a little better. Here's Godzilla next to King Kong. Godzilla's maybe just a tiny bit taller, mostly to the spikes on his back. And if Godzilla had, what was it, 7 points of articulation, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the tail 7. King Kong, I believe, has 6. The neck, both shoulders, both wrists, that's 5. And the waist, which is 6. I think it's a much better value getting Godzilla. You get a lot more bang for your buck, a lot more plastic. But of course, you're going to want to have both to pair up, or rather, to fight each other. Now let's check them out next to some other recent McFarlane Mega figures. Here's Godzilla next to King Kong and Titano, which was a shameless reuse from the King Kong sculpt. Here's Godzilla next to the most recent McFarlane Mega figure. This is the Kaiju Beast from the upcoming James Gunn Superman film. If you thought King Kong was underarticulated, you clearly haven't messed with the Kaiju Beast. It is probably the worst Mega figure McFarlane has made. Kind of interesting because Godzilla is also a Kaiju Beast of some sort. And here, next to the recent Killer Croc from the 2-pack, and the Justice League, the 6th Dimension Armored Batman. And finally, next to the red Planet Ron Swamp Thing, and the Zack Snyder's Justice League Armored Darkseid. This is the one that came with a throne. Here's a look at Godzilla and Superman in the streets of Metropolis, about to have an epic battle. Here's a look at a bunch of 3-inch Page Puncher Justice League members taking on Godzilla and King Kong. The scale's about right. And here's my attempt to recreate the back of the package with a giant Godzilla and Superman flying toward his head. Meanwhile, somewhere in Metropolis, it looks like the cause for these unexplained earthquakes is finally being explained. I'm not sure what else exactly they want me to do with this guy, with this sort of facial expression. This is clearly what they intended, for me to put Superman onto a toilet. So overall, it's a pretty cool Superman vs. Godzilla set. Very gimmicky. Now Godzilla has a really nice sculpt, but it's kind of like a hollow, sort of rubbery toy. I swear the tail weighs about as much as the rest of Godzilla. His articulation is quite limited, similar to Kong, although limited in different ways. I'd say it's a little bit better on Godzilla. I do appreciate the fact that at least his arms and legs both move, and he has a jaw articulation. Like I said, sculpt and paint job are excellent. I don't necessarily like the way Godzilla feels, and his articulation is rough. If I were to rate Godzilla, probably give him a 7 out of 10. Nice, big, imposing figure. Now Superman, it's on a great body. I like the paint job. I like the outfit. The main complaints would be, I don't really like the head very much, and they did a bad job with the belt loops. That's a minor thing that can be easily corrected. And you can't swap the head. So if I were to rate Superman, I'll probably give him like a 6.5. Give him the Silver Age head, and bam, he's damn near an 8. So it's a nice set, but needs some tweaking and improvements. Thankfully, Godzilla is a little bit more articulated than King Kong, but not by much. Truly, it's 7 points of articulation versus 6 points, but I think it's 7 more useful points than King Kong's 6. So this is D Hunter. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked the video, press like below. If you have anything you want to say with the video, add to the comment section. If you want to see additional action figure reviews from me, press subscribe. I do appreciate when you do that. Once again, this is D Hunter. Thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you guys real soon.